Today on the channel, we take a trip down to Texas. Beautiful this time of year as we count down my top 5 favorite Von Erich figures of all time.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5. A weekly tradition here as every Thursday on this very YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, as I always say. We do a countdown of my top 5 and occasional top 10 favorite figures of something. And today, we got the Von Erich family right in our path. And of course, we're saying Von Erich family as unbelievably, there has not been a whole lot of Von Erich figures over the years. There's a few wrestlers throughout the years that are very underrepresented in action figure forms. First off, of course, the Ultimate Warrior. We do not get enough Ultimate Warrior figures. Terry Funk, we do not get enough Terry Funk figures. Well, maybe not. Well, maybe. Give me more of those. But the Von Erichs, not a whole lot. The Rougeau brothers, there's another classic one. There's a lot of characters over the years. However, the Von Erichs, very underrepresented in action figure lines for a variety of reasons. Thankfully, recently here, Powertown has come through with a Kerry Von Erich. We got our fingers crossed, maybe some more Von Erichs as part of that line in the future. We'll see what happens there. But we're doing the Von Erich family here today. We're basically looking at Kerry Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, and of course the Texas Tornado, that other family member. Who knows? But that's what we're looking at here today. And of course, like usual, top 5 list, top 10 lists on the channel. We start at number 5, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my favorite, of course. And remember, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below because your list isn't wrong. My list isn't wrong. It's a list. A list. But of course, it is a top 5 list. So get your list together, put it in the comments below, and let's start it off with the Von Erich top 5. We begin our top 5 Von Erich figures of all time at, of course, number 5. And number 5 for us comes from Mattel, comes from the Elite line, comes from the WWE Legends line. We go all the way back in the day, to Legends Series 6, of course, Kerry Von Erich. Now, me growing up as a little kid, I was more accustomed to the Texas Tornado. I did see a little Kevin and Kerry at the ends of World Class time frame, and their legend, of course, loomed pretty large in the PWI magazines, things like that. But Kerry Von Erich, I kind of knew a little bit, but I knew him more as Texas Tornado, and I think a lot of people did because that was a worldwide stage, as we know. But no slouch in the Kerry Von Erich department as well. But Legends Series 6, the Von Erich set is what we do call it here. But a fabulous solo career version of course, Kerry Von Erich right here. Beautiful, beautiful blue robe with the white piping, and of course, a Von Erich staple. You got that claw hand going on. You got to have that claw. Haven't seen a claw like that since a young Baron Von Raschke. Oh, Baron. If you ever get your picture taken, story time with Kyle, you ever get your picture taken with Baron Von Raschke, he'll always tell you, put up the claw, put it up. Put it up. That's what he always says. And if you don't do it, he's like, no, put it up. And then you do because you don't want to get the claw yourself. So I'm sure if Kerry Von Erich was around, that would be happening a lot in a lot of meet and greets. He'd be throwing up the claw, I'm having to imagine. Seem like Kevin does to this day. But Kerry in Legends Series 6, a great one, a solo representation, and unfortunately the only solo Kerry Von Erich we ever got in the Mattel line. Would love to see Mattel get the Von Erichs again, but it looks like they're with Powertown now. We'll see what shakes out here. But coming in at number 5, Kerry Von Erich, Legends Series 6. Next up, we're at the number 4 spot in the top 5 countdown, and I just name-dropped this figure just in the last video. But once again, we go to Kerry Von Erich. We go this time to a trip to Powertown. And you got to remember, now this is a fabulous figure. There is no doubt about it. But these lists are based on nostalgia, favorites, whatever it may be. It just encompasses to be your favorite for whatever reasons. And for me, this is fairly new. So I haven't been with this one even a year at this point yet. But a fabulous, fabulous figure. Just a few gripes on Powertown. And I'm sure they're going to fix some of that stuff. Like I've said in the Powertown unboxings, wish they had some peg holes in the feet. Wish the hands were a little bit larger. Wish they were a little better connected so they don't fall off as easy. And maybe some of the jackets, especially in the Kerry Von Erich version, version wasn't as tight as it is, but besides that, man, this is what I'm looking for. I want classic superstars. I want to feel like I'm collecting classic superstars from back in the day, of course, the Jax line. And Power Town, as of right now, is our modern day classic superstar. So I'm all in on everything Power Town is going to do, including this Kerry Von Erich figure. A fabulous one. Looks like Kerry Von Erich. Very similar to the last one. I will say improved upon from that last one, but outside of a couple of minor tweaks. But just an all-around great action figure. We're so lucky to get figures like this here in 2023. It's a little bit of a niche market, I understand. But man, oh man, is this Power Town Kerry Von Erich figure really, really good. You got to have it in hand to really appreciate this one. And bring on Series 2. Bring on the rest of the Von Erichs from Power Town. But in this list here, Power Town, Kerry Von Erich coming in at number 4. We're at the halfway point of the countdown. We're at the number 3 position. You got your list together? Put it in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel as we got top 5s, top 10s every single Thursday. And we also got them over on the other YouTube channel, Kyle Peterson 2.0. Check that one out. You don't want to miss a video. Subscribe to both channels. But here we are at number 3, and here we are returning back to the Mattel Elite line. This time we're going to Legends Series 6 once again. Like I said, it is the Von Erich set. And we're bringing out Kerry Von Erich once again, but we're bringing out the old Texas Tornado. Now, like I said, I grew up with the Texas Tornado. That was my prime wrestling love time. I'll never forget Survivor Series, the Legion of Doom, the Ultimate Warrior, the Texas Tornado. Man, oh man, those were my 4 favorites. World title, Intercontinental Tag title divisions. I was all in, and I got to see Kerry Von Erich wrestle as the Texas Tornado a couple of times in my life, so that was a great feeling too, to say I did get to see Kerry Von Erich in the ring. But man, Texas Tornado is where he went to the next level for me, and it was just simple as giving him a Texas Tornado nickname, I guess, apparently, but also the nostalgia of that time of wrestling fandom and where I was and my age and all of that. But man, oh man, just an absolute beautiful one here, Texas Tornado. Not a ton of difference than the one we just talked about at number 5, but enough difference to be dangerous here. And I gotta say, a lot of these were carved up over the years because these did go to clearance. If you can imagine that, a pretty penny these days, but back in the day, going to clearance, if you can believe it. And a lot of these were carved up to make Shane Douglas figures, as you can kind of see the similarities in some of the color schemes and some of the stuff there. So that's, I think, one of the reasons this is so valuable all these years later. But a fabulous figure, the Texas Tornado. Like I said earlier, it's Power Town, Mattel. I don't care if Jazzwares does it. If the Classic Superstars line comes back via Jazzwares, man, I'm here for it all day long. Get me Classic Superstars, people. I don't care how we get it. Get me more Texas Tornadoes. Get me more Kerry Von Erich. Get me more Von Erich family members. And that's why old Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, Mattel Legend Series 6 comes in at number 3. Dangerously close to the finish line here, and we're at the number 2 Von Erich family member figure of all time for me, and we're finally breaking tradition for the rest of this list. As number 2, once again, we go to the Von Erich set. We go to Mattel Legends Series 6, and we bust out old Kevin Von Erich. And this is a very good figure, a very good representation of Kevin Von Erich. Absolutely love this. Love the jacket, love the coat, love the bare feet on this one. Just playing a lot of hits in the Kevin Von Erich department. Now, to me, Kerry Von Erich, I've always enjoyed more. A lot of that is because of the Texas Tornado time frame. But Kevin, no slouch in his own right. And this one, I will say, is probably a little bit higher on the list just because we haven't got any other Kevin Von Erich figures, and it's a good figure, but we haven't gotten any other ones. So there's nothing to really compare it to. So this being its only figure really makes it feel a little bit more special than maybe it would be if we had 5 or 6 different ones. I think that's a fair assessment on this, but still an all-timer, a must-have figure. Kevin Von Erich, one of the guys, really missed out on the boat on a lot of action figures over the years. We should have had him in Classic Superstars. We should have had more Mattels. Who knows? Illuminaries with Jazzwares. Let's get him there. I don't know if that would work, but we need more Kevin Von Erich figures, and this one is really underrated. It is a really good figure for the time frame. So good, in fact, it came in at number 2 in the top 5 Von Erich list. But now that leaves us with only one, and I think most people know where this one's going, but we're going to cover it. Stay tuned for number 1. Here we are. We're at the end of the top 5 Von Erich family members top 5 list. Of course, like I always say, put your list in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Of course, giving the old thumbs up always helps these videos, always helps the channel. You guys know that by now, but check it out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the other channel as well. So now we're at the number 1 spot, and like I said, I think most people know which one this is. And most people, if you're a wrestling fan, especially a long-term wrestling fan, you probably have owned this or you do own this currently in your collection. What is the number one figure? Well, we go to WWF, we go to Hasbro, we go to the Texas Tornado. And this is where nostalgia really takes over. I still can remember the day I got this when I was a kid. I remember opening it up in the back seat of the car in the Target parking lot. Just one of those things that you'll never forget. And I always talk about it with Hasbro figures, the WWF figures from Hasbro, how we had an all-timer. It was just always an all-timer when you got a new character in your Fig Fed. That Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it may be, and all of a sudden this hot newcomer comes into your Fig Fed and immediately feuds with Mr. Perfect, teams up with the Warrior and the Legion of Doom, whatever you were up to. But man, this Texas Tornado for me was a game changer. It was a huge, huge deal in my playing days, and it still holds a lot of nostalgia all these years later. Of course, later, we know Tatanka had the same body mold for this, but this felt really, really special at the time. Of course, that tornado punch, awfully deadly, as we do know. He'd be throwing this all the time in my Fig Fed as a kid. So a very, very nostalgic pick right here. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a Power Town or a Mattel Elite, but man, oh man, you can't beat those childhood playing days, and that's why this one's number one for me in my top 5 list. So there it is, the Von Erich family top 5. As I always say, put your list in the comments down below. Don't forget about the Patreon for early access to videos like this, bonus content, exclusive content, giveaways, Q&As, pizza reviews, you name it. It's all going on the old Patreon. And you get early access to both channels' videos all in one place. So make sure you check out the old Patreon. And the link in the description below, of course. And you can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X. _Kyle_Peterson on Threads and on Instagram. So for the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, and all the other Von Erichs, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.